All right. So what time is it? It is 11 o'clock. It is time to get started. So let's get started. Today on the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds Underwriting Show. And I wanted to take this opportunity to open it up to all of you. So when I say that, what do I mean? We all want to get better in our underwriting skills. And I wanted to take this time to run through whatever questions you may have or samples we could put up. So if you have something you want to say, hey, Dow, um, can you help me with this? Or can you show me how to do this or whatever? We would take the time to do it. Now I can't take the whole show, right? I can't take the whole show to do it. But if you have something like say something specific, you say, hey, can I have this? I'm having a problem uh, you know, getting this done or whatever, then we could work it, we could walk through it, and we have enough people here that know about underwriting, and we can help you solve that problem. But I also wanted to let this Tuesday be a day where you can ask questions about underwriting. Um, you know, you may want to say, well, Dad, why is this so important, or why is that so important? Why is why is whatever so important, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a question I'm going to throw out to each and every one of you, and and I want to hear an answer because I think it's important. We get we get caught up in we get caught up so much in IRR, cash on cash, right? We get caught up in that equity multiple, but I want to know a bottom line from you, and I expect each and every one you're going to have a different bottom line, right? So, so before we get started, does anyone need help with anything? You may have an underwrite. Again, we're not going to. I don't have the time to go through a whole underwrite. But if you're stuck at a particular point in that underwrite, and you would like some help with it, let's discuss it because everyone here wants to learn. Everyone, I want to learn, right? I want to expand my mind so that I can help others. Whether it's through the universe, whether it's through the ether, whether it's through mentoring, whether it's through coaching directly, I want to help everyone. Okay. So who's working on something that you may have a specific problem that you need help with?
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah.
So I just want to put it out there, and I know this is supposed to be for 2 weeks from now. But if you do need help on underwriting, right? I do um, a free session every Saturday. Now, problem is it's 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So for people who are on the East Coast, it's going to be 7 for you. But I'll try to make it to where, I'll be quick and precise because I know time difference, you guys are probably already tired. So if you guys want, if you want to put my email, Daryl, it's mysociallife24@gmail.com. And I host this 1 to 2 hour free session every Saturday.
Okay. Now, are you doing that by yourself or are you working with what's his name? What is his name that does it every Saturday? I got a brain freeze. But that's because I don't call his name out much. So I think that's the
Charles
reason why.
Seaman.
Charles
Charles
Seaman.
Seaman.
Yeah. Are you working with Charles Seaman, JR?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I do this on my own.
Uh-huh.
Charles, yeah, I do attend Charles Siemens' session as well. But his is a little bit more, I would say, in I wouldn't say unique, but more advanced for some people. But
Right.
the way I teach underwriting is um, to the level of, hey, I just joined a mastermind and about multifamily, and you know, yes, they have a video on underwriting, but you know, it's still Greek to me, right?
Got you.
So I teach people on how to understand what each meaning of like a gross potential rent, gross scheduled rent, what's a vacancy, what's this and what's that, and how to actually do paper napkin underwriting, which is, you know,
Mhm.
to me, in a sense, if you're going to be talking with brokers as a newbie or even as a a seasoned vet, right?
Mhm.
Um, Typically, we're not good at math, so if you learn how to paper napkin underwrite, you can
Mhm.
essentially tell your broker right there and then that, hey, we're looking at
What?
18 mil on this property,
Yeah.
but
So
if you paper napkin,
you're giving away
you
too
have
many secrets. You're giving away too many secrets. All right.
gotcha.
So
All right.
everyone, he'll be back next at our next meeting. JR will be back here. Okay. Now I am going to say, think you should go. Right. And and why? Why would I promote someone else? Right? Why would I do that? Because you think you need to know so many different phases of underwriting. Every one aspect. Listen, underwriting isn't a one-way thing. It's not. There's so many different aspects to underwriting. Charles Seaman has his way of underwriting. I have my way of underwriting. And I'm going to tell you something else. My way of underwriting could change depending on the model that I'm using. So right now I have my own model. But let's say I have to switch to Spencer Burton model. Let's say I need to switch to Justin Kevel's model. Let's say I need to switch. Well, you got the picture, right? The thing is, I think you should go. And I also think that you should take courses that are on Udemy on underwriting, because you're going to learn how to broaden your mind and how to look at that underwrite in different aspects. Okay. So I would say, yeah, I think you should go. If you have the time, check it out. See how, and then when I have my underwriting, like if anyone joined my coaching program, you'll see that my underwriting is a little different. I go by a um different set of rules, but you will also notice in my underwriting coaching program, I keep it basic. I'm not trying to get you way out there in the middle of the ocean, the Atlantic or the Pacific. I'm trying to. I want to keep you. I'm going to keep you I'm going to keep you really. I don't want to say confined, but I'm going to ask you to stay in a particular market. And I don't want you browsing all over the whole world. So you're going to see that the way I do things are different, but but when you leave me, I can say confidently, you'll know how to underwrite. And then any other underwriting after that, it will be an enhancement and enhancement and enhancement. Okay. So enough with that. But does anyone else have any other uh, uh, need help with a specific thing on your underwriting? Like you're stuck somewhere. Anyone? Because after that, if no one, then I want to take it to where I want you to ask questions about underwriting. Let's start getting into questions. And I have a question for each and every one of you.
Hey, Daryl, how's it going?
Hey, I'm all right. What about yourself, Jerome? Welcome this morning. This morning here on the East Coast. Let me see, it's 10, and this morning on Central Time.
There you go.
Good morning.
Good day. Good morning, everybody. I just had a quick question. I know I reached out to you on this one, but in terms of short-term leases, what do they indicate about a rent roll? I know there's not a rule of thumb on what exactly the time span on a short-term lease is,
Correct.
but if you see it's like 119 unit, and if I see more than 50% of them, what does that indicate about the rent roll? And a second question is, you don't mind if I have a two-parter?
Yeah, go ahead. No, no.
Huh?
Listen, listen, everyone. Commercial Multifamily Mastermind Underwriting Show is an educational platform. This is where you could come and ask any question. And I'm gonna tell you, there is no such thing as a dumb question. The only dumb question is a question that you didn't ask to get help with. That's the dumb question. Okay. So feel free. I want everyone to feel free. Just open your mind and feel free. Say, hey, I'm in a safe space with Daryl. Daryl is got me safe. I'm safe, right? And that's how I want y'all to feel. This is a safe space. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerome.
All right, appreciate that. The second question is in regards to market research.
Hmm.
I'm investing in Houston, but as
Yeah.
you know, Houston has so many pockets and so many neighboring neighborhood cities. And
Hmm.
what is your reliable source to go to those neighboring cities like the Kleins, Tomballs, Woodlands, Conroe?
Hmm.
Obviously, if you put Houston in any of your research, those numbers will
Hmm.
come up. But I'm mostly looking at the surrounding counties and the surrounding cities around Houston.
Okay. So I want to take the first question first because that second question, I'm debating on answering it. And the reason why I'm debating on answering is because your 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 answer is in my coaching program. And you are a member of my coaching program. You just got started. So that's telling me you didn't go through all the video. That's what that's telling me out loud. And you didn't watch all the video. And you didn't go through all of my steps and files. So I'm really debating on the answer to that second question. But the first question, let's jump into that. Repeat your first question again. The first question I know is about short-term leases. You said it's not you said it's not a you know that there's no short there's no such thing, there's no definite like what is defined as short term, right? So and if it's not a year, if you don't got a year lease, consider it a short-term lease. All right.
Okay.
Um Now you asked
I was
another
asking, what
question.
does that indicate? Having
Oh,
more than like 40 to 50% of the units are short term leases.
so I want to ask you a question now. When you say short-term leases, are you actually meaning short-term lease, or are you meaning a lease month to month?
Well,
Because
they
with
are, or
a hundred and some units, Usually that would be an annual, not unless this is a, not unless it's a student housing or some other commercial, multi-commercial thing, right? But normally commercial multifamily, you're not, usually you don't have like that many short-term leases.
Okay.
So now, so let me ask the question. I'm going to answer your question. Is that property a commercial multifamily property?
Yeah, yeah. Commercial 119 units in Houston.
And and when they sent you the rent roll ante 12, so now my question is, when you saw about half of the units, their lease was less than a year, did you ask him on about month to month if those were month to months? Because
Not yet. I just noticed it probably this week, and they were most of them like 5 months, 6 months. I hadn't done a direct count, but I know that was more 5 to 6 months than there were year leases. So I just
gotcha.
wanted to see like what is that an indication
All
in
right,
relation?
so
But they weren't month to month.
so if so he had a lease for 5 months. He had a lease for 6 months on these people. The lease
Right,
didn't expire. The lease didn't expire, and then they went month to month. He actually have a lease for about 6 months on these particular people.
right. The lease end is usually from lease start to lease end is usually about 4 to 5 months.
Wow. Okay, so what the one thing that I would have you to ask him is why so many short-term leases. So what is the purpose of it? Because those short-term leases could put you in a situation. And if you look at the expiration date on those leases, if you look at an expiration date on those leases, and you see that there are going to be a lot of them coming due around the same time, you could find yourself in a serious pickle where when they expire, you may let them expire, but keep them and let them just pay the rent, let them go on a month to month, so that and prior to that, you start hitting those. Matter of fact, you start hitting them people automatically, and you start hitting them right now. Like when you take over, you start hitting them like, "Hey, I can see that your lease is coming due. Would you to would you like to renew your lease? But it's gonna be for a year. We ain't going no 6 months, right?" Now, if they want to go 6 months, then you're gonna say, "Well, if you go 6 months, it's gonna be a whole lot more, right?" Because if the rent, let's say let's say the rent is 1,000 for a 1 year lease. Don't say market rent, everyone. Market rent. I said lease. So see right there, I was like, I didn't even I'm gonna be a little more specific. I'm gonna try to get specific. So that the market rent in that area and I said that area, right? That neighborhood. I'm not talking about all over Houston. The market rent in that neighborhood where that building is, let's say it's $1,000. And you have a short-term lease coming up, and they don't want to renew for a year. Well, then okay, but the rent is going to be $1,300 or $1,400. Okay, so on short-term leases, they're going to wind up paying more. Why? It's a one greater risk. Two, your term, you got to start planning now for advertising to get that unit filled. So it's not like, okay, well, I got a year. I'm gonna tell you right now, 3 months fly by just like that before you realize, holy smoke, that lease is coming up for renewal. So now it's more, what you call is I don't want to call it stress or tension, but your property management company now has to keep a closer eye on all of these leases that are 6 months and gonna be expiring around the same time. And now you got another situation. And what I would tell you, that extra money, you put it, take that extra money, put it to the side. Because if they, let's say everyone starts leaving and people not coming in just as fast as they're leaving, you're going to find yourself with a high vacancy. And now here's the domino effect. You got a big vacancy. The lender wants to know, why do you have this big vacancy? Now the lender is going to start not harassing you, but going to start being on your back. Yo, send us this report, send us that report, send us this report. Then you find yourself on the watch list. Everyone out there, if y'all know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? So it's now you're gonna find yourself in a domino effect. Now, when you go to bed at night, you're wondering, how in the world am I gonna get this mortgage paid? Now you start getting stomach problems. Now you get headaches. You're wondering, why do I have this headache in the middle of the night? Why am I waking up 3 in the morning, can't sleep? Because you're stressed out. The property management company is going to do their best to get those units filled. Your responsibility is to those investors and to that property manager and to that property and to those tenants and to the repairs. Now something done got broke. Oh my goodness gracious. And you don't have the money. It becomes a domino effect. Now you're pulling money out of your pocket. Yeah, you'll get it back. You know, you'll get it back. Long as long as you get the property back up, then you start getting your money back. But you start having headaches, nightmares, and so forth. You start worrying. So all I want to say is, whatever your plan is, to when one one with a situation that you make sure you have emergency. I'm stepping into the next phase, everyone. I know. I hope I answered this question, but now I'm going to step into the next phase. If you know you're getting into a situation like this, make sure you have at least 1 year of emergency money to carry that property. That's principal and interest. Okay, principal, interest, and the I'm sorry, I got a little freeze again. Expenses. Make sure you have enough money to cover all of that. Okay, because now that's going to give you enough time where you don't need to dip into the other money. You don't, because you're going to have about 3 or 4 accounts. All right. So now you're going to have your emergency money covering the building just in case, if you happen to, you may have to take out 1,000 or 2,000 to pay the bills or whatever. Okay. But then as soon as you get your occupancy back up, you start putting that money back. Okay. And you start converting all those people over to annual leases. Those who don't want annual leases, then don't renew. Let them go. But you hurry up, turn the unit around. Don't look at if you have a lot, like 50%, like what Jerome was saying, if you got like 50%, then I'm going to say to you, don't worry about renovating. Don't worry about like trying to put in new this, new that. Just just get the unit up to running, like turn it over, get somebody in there. Get somebody in there. Okay. To get your occupancy back up to where the lender's not on your back, you're off the watch list. The lender's not calling you no more, except for maybe every quarter now for the reports. And once a year, the inspector comes out and see the property. You going to bed, now you don't have a headache. You're having beautiful dreams that you're floating in the sky, right? So that's what I'm going to say. So, Jerome, did I answer that? Did I answer question number one?
Yes.
Okay. So in reference to question number two, before I go to question number two,
You
does
already
anyone,
Mr. Miyagi me on question number 2, so I'm gonna watch the video before you. I did watch the video, but I'm gonna watch it again.
all right, so what, okay, so here we go. Did you see the video explaining the real estate market analysis?
Yes.
Okay. What is, and you say you watched the whole video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, number one, I want you to I want you now to set a time with me. Since you said you watched the video, make sure you also check your folders and stuff like that. Okay. So what is the one question that I'm going to ask you before we even start underwriting any deal? What's the one thing I'm going to ask you?
Did you do your real estate market form?
Bam, there it is. He watched it. The real estate market analysis form is going to direct you, as I stated in that video, your real estate market analysis form is going to tell you whether a neighborhood is a yes or no. If it doesn't meet the requirements, and that's the reason why I have it like that, when I don't know where everyone level is, okay, how much experience you have, how much experience you don't have. I don't know. I take everyone back to level one. When you come into my program, you're going to watch the videos. It's going to put you right back in level one. You're going to probably be bored as all get out, but I don't know where everyone is, right? But I know when you finish watching my videos, I know that you're going to understand me and I'm going to understand you, right? So the real estate market analysis form is going to tell you, one, whether if the city is good. Then it's going to tell you whether if the neighborhood is good. I said neighborhood, right? If it doesn't meet that requirement, all I need you to do, this is it right here. If the city doesn't meet that requirement, toss it. Don't go no further. We don't need to go no further. Just kick it to the curb, right? If the city's good, now we're gonna keep that. The neighborhood, if the neighborhood not good, kick it to the curb. Go to the next neighborhood. Now, you do have a tool in my coaching program that you can use to see where median incomes are. And you can actually pick a neighborhood and say, hey, wow, this neighborhood over here is between 70 and 100,000. Okay. I want to focus on here. And you can even tell your broker, yo, I really like to focus in this neighborhood right here. Right. So that way you won't be bombarded, although you're gonna still be bombarded. The broker gonna still send you junk stuff, but that's okay. It don't meet your requirement, kick it to the curb. Right? We can kick it to the curb. So there you go. There you go with that. But now listen, does anyone in reference to question number one, would anyone like to add to that or would like to say something? Because everyone has a different level of underwriting.
Hey, Daryl, what was question number one again? I'll take a crack at it.
Question number one was, Jerome, you
Now I was just asking, what does short-term leases indicate on your rent roll? The ones I was experiencing, it was like 4 to 5 months that the lease was ending. So I just wanted to know broadly what that indicated.
yeah. And Jerome, he's talking about at least 50% of 119 unit property.
Okay, so my question, I'll ask you a couple questions so that it can trigger kind of where I want to go with, answering this question. So number one, what are you looking to do with the property? And number two, if it's at 50% or, I mean, anything below 85% occupancy, right? You're going to have a hard time getting a, Fannie and Freddie loan. So no matter what, this is going to be a bridge loan. So that's question number two, statement number one. Question number two is, what's your overall strategy with this property?
To sell in 5. I think it was like a C property, so it would be a sale after 5 years, 5 to 7 years. And the occupancy wasn't, well, I guess I see what you're saying, but the occupancy was at 98. But the leases is what I guess drew my ire. So, but I see what you're saying in regards to when those leases come due, then that might be an occupancy issue, which is what Daryl was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, the occupancy issue, even if you have 6 months remaining, it doesn't really matter. It's just now the property manager, right, will have to do their job to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Renter, you know, what's your next move coming up, when your lease is up, right? Because depending on the state, you can give them a new lease up 6 months prior or 3 months prior, right? But if you're also going to raise rent, you also have to give at least 3 to 6 months in advance. So if you're saying that, hey, do you own this property but right now by chance or not really?
No, sir. No.
Okay. So if if in doubt, and let's play with this situation, right? Let's say you become the new owner in about 6 months, okay? In your first um as a manager, hey, you want to increase the rent by $50, right? Day one. So they don't know that, right? So for that to take effect, if you bought it in January, you close in January, that $50 will only take an effect come June or July, because you have to give these people a chance to, say, hey, there's going to be an increase, right? And with that being said, that's your kind of day one issue. So you would have to put your underwriting to where it would reflect your $50. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you also had to look at the demographics of the area. And what I mean by demographics of the area is, pay scale. What's the average pay scale in the area? If you're looking at less than $60,000 per year, and I don't know what part of Houston this is, right? Or what place this is, but just look at the pay scale in the area and take 20% of that, right? So if a person's making, let's say, whole number 100,000, 20% is what you could guarantee that they will be making rent for the whole year. So at 20,000, divide that by 12, that's how much you can raise effective rent and say, okay, these guys can pay up to this much. Now, if they're only making 50 or 60, multiply that by 20, right? That's your effective range of rent. Now, I don't know if this is the kind of question you're asking, but let's say that that's what you want to put in for your pro forma. And that's what your strategy is on day one, is to raise rent. Then that's what you're going to look at to see what the demographics is when it comes to pay in that area. Now, as far as vacancy is concerned, again, looking at, if you can get some help from the brokers to give you a CoStar report, right? Or if you have access to CoStar, CoStar will give you the average vacancy in that area for the last, let's say, 1 year.
Underwriting is very important for you to know. Without knowing the valuation or how to value property, you can never get no money. If you can't explain your underwriting, you can't explain how to get that capital. I have a coaching program and we talk about underwriting. I teach underwriting, the importance of underwriting, why you need to know underwriting, what's involved with underwriting. If you want to learn more about underwriting, join my coaching program. My information will be below.
Appreciate that.
Alicia, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. It's
Hey, how
good
you
to
doing?
see you in person or online, Daryl. um, so I do have some questions and feedback for Jerome. So you said 119 units, 50% are short term, and 78% is occupied.
No, I said 98%.
Oh, it's 98% occupied.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, so what's the neighborhood income in there? Did you ask that? Because I didn't hear.
It's par 40 grand.
40 grand. So it's on the lower or
Correct.
medium, but lower side of the income. Are there universities in that neighborhood or close, like within 5 minutes or so?
No, ma'am. It's probably uh maybe 10 minutes from downtown Houston, which isn't saying much, but it's not affluent. There's a lot of factories, a lot of retail, a lot of vacancy retail as well. But yeah, that's
So people are probably going to this location because the rent is under the market rent. Is it under market?
yeah, I would say
Okay. Um, how long is the longest lease?
a year.
A year. And then are there any people that have been there longer than a year?
Yes, there were some 2023s on there. I don't know the direct,
23 years?
no, 2023 leases.
Oh, okay. But nothing prior to 2023?
Don't quote me on that, but
How
probably
old
don't quote me on it.
how old is this building?
74, I think.
Okay, so nothing longer than 1 year. No one's been in there longer than a year.
I said don't quote me on that. I think it might have been some older than a year, but I didn't see it. Didn't jump out at me.
Okay. Because if property managers see that 50% of the building has short-term leases, you said about 4 or 5 months, right?
Right.
They're probably going to charge more money because it's going to cost more to manage this property, which is going to affect your purchase price. On top of that, you're probably going to generate a lot of payroll because they may have to put more than just one person on this, like they would normally. Um, the other question that I would have is how much of this building has low income housing? Is it a light tech property? Is the city connected? Is it listed with the city? Um, and then yeah, I would also look at what the condition of the property is in. I would definitely want to see several units on the inside because with short-term leases, not only do you have a challenge with the turnover, but your turnover dollars may be a lot. So I'd look at, what they're paying in security deposits. If they have large security deposits, could mean that their credit is low. So there's a bunch of factors that I'd look at, but going through Daryl's program, you'll find out what those issues are. But I wouldn't walk away from the building if the neighborhood is good because it's 98% occupied. So they're doing something right. Could just be that they were trying to hurry up and fill up the building right? Before they had to put it out for sale, which is why it's at 98%. But I'd lock in, if the numbers work out, I'd lock in my agreement that that building has to stay at a certain occupancy with a certain time frame for those leases at a certain rate or better, which is market rate or better. That's what I would do.
Okay.
All right. Listen, everyone. So we're gonna. I hope Jerome got some good insight on that. Uh, is there anyone else that have something specific in reference to underwriting or question? That's what we're doing today. Anyone have something specific?
Carl
And
has
That
some questions.
Jerome, also try to see whether or not what kind of loan you can get for that property as well too. That might be your first hurdle.
I think I have a question. So, Richard, what type of challenges would I'm sorry, Daryl, if that's okay to ask, if Richard could answer on the financing standpoint, what type of challenges he would face knowing what he's heard so far.
Yeah, one of the issues would be financing. However, I will say if there are a lot of short-term leases in there like that, we're definitely going to want to know why that is the case. But if the tenants, although they signed a short-term lease and they've been there over a year, we should be able to push it through with no problem in their regard. But the lender will probably say they want a long-term lease going forward from that aspect of it, unless there's a particular reason why they wouldn't want to do that, but the lender has to get comfortable with that.
and actually, you should be thinking if you're comfortable with that. You know what I'm saying? Before the lender, you're looking at it right then and there. You be saying, "Am I comfortable with this? Right? Can I? Will I be able to sleep at night?
Right.
I
That's
don't think I'm going.
important.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to sleep at night. Oh man, is my wife gonna? Is she gonna get mad at me? Because I'm being in a bad mood sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's before the lender asks that question about if they're comfortable with it. You better ask yourself if you're comfortable with it. So, all right, come on, everybody. Now this 11:42. Whoa, we only got like 18 more minutes. Okay, anyway, so I have a question for each and every one of you. And here's the question. I'm going to come around to each and every one of you to get an answer. The question is this. There's no such thing as a IRR. There's no such thing as a cash on cash. Those numbers have not even been created yet. There's no such thing as an equity multiple. That wasn't created yet either. So you don't know nothing about IRR. You don't know nothing about equity multiple. You don't know nothing about what did I say? An average cash on cash. The average cash on cash. What you do know, you got your income, you have your expenses, you have your debt service, and you have your cash flow. Knowing that you don't have the rest of those metrics to really rely on, how much of a cash flow would you want to see to say that that is a viable deal? I'm gonna start. First of all, I'm gonna give everybody a minute or two to think about it because I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give everybody a minute. I'm looking at my clock. It says 11:43 right now. I'm gonna come back to probably about 11:45. No, 11:44, and I'm gonna go from left to right. My left, and I'm gonna ask everybody that question. I want everybody just to think about it.
Hey, Daryl, can you also put another piece of information? Let's say what's the year of
Nope, nope,
what's the,
nope. I don't want no another piece of information. Nope, nope. The question is the question. You
Do you
got your
figure class
income.
of property?
I don't nope. I don't care about class. I don't care about none of that. You got your income. You got your expense. You have your debt service. You got your cash on cash flow. You got your cash flow, not cash on cash. You got your cash flow. For that deal to be a viable deal, how much of a cash flow would you like to see? All right. It is 11:44. Everybody have had enough time to think about it. Let's start. I'm gonna start with wow. And he came on camera and he was the go ahead, Mr. Jarman. So how much of a cash flow must you see to say that that deal is viable?
Okay, good, good. And first of all, let me say hello to everyone. First of all, great day, great day, great day. I would say $1,000 per per unit per year.
Okay, so 1,000 per unit per year. Okay, $1,000 per unit per year. That's Mr. Jarman. Now, everyone, this is not a right or wrong answer. This is your personal. This is your personal answer. It's not a right or wrong. It's what you want to see. It's not what I want to see. So there's no right or wrong. Okay. All right. Next person, going from left to right, Kenneth Peltz. Can Kenneth talk? Kenneth, you buy your mic? All right, Kenneth, he's not by the mic. Next person, David Umana. David, you buy your mic?
I am, yes.
Okay. How much of a cash flow must you see in order for that deal to be viable?
From what I've seen, I feel like 50% of expenses will be the cash flow. So exactly how it transfers per door, just because I've seen so many different deals, so many different opportunities and prices, I cannot say an exact number. So I know 100 on average is what I've seen in Houston area, but I think 50% of expenses will be best. That's the ones I actually pursue.
All right, so 50% of expense. Okay, so that's gonna be enough to cover your debt service. So so anything, so long as okay, 50% of so you want 50% of expense. So take away the debt service. Okay. All right, so Kenneth says 50%. I mean, not Kenneth, David said 50% of expense. Okay. All right. Oh man, we got some new people joining, and my screen shifted. My screen done shifted on me. So now I gotta okay. So I have to skip over Mr. Jarman. I have to skip over Kenneth. I have to skip over David. All right. Can Jasmine talk? Jasmine, can she talk? Okay. So
Okay.
what would you say?
You know, you already know I deal in a different realm, but
Mhm.
I was kind of going with the 50% expenses also, and then
Okay.
debt service. So like if I put 20%, I just gave a hypothetical $1 million and about half of that being debt, and
Okay.
then not no half of that being expenses, borrowing about 800K because I put 200K down. So I would say around like 30%, 35% cash flow. 30 to
Okay.
40% cash flow is what I would
So
go for.
okay. So
So if it's $1 million,
30 to
like 30% of
40%,
that would be my cash flow per year that I'd be looking at, 30 to 40%.
30 to 40% of the okay. So that would have to be cash flow. Okay. So 30 to 40% after debt service.
Right. Right.
Gotcha. 30 to
Yeah.
40% after debt service.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking at $1 million because I'm thinking
Yeah.
half of it is going towards expenses And
Yeah.
debt service, would be about 85K per year on what I borrowed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Richard Copeland, can you talk?
And of course, good
Okay, cool.
morning.
Good morning.
Uh, I'm in a 35% range, but also I would probably say at least probably at a minimum $250 dollars per unit per month off
Okay,
that
so 250
over
per
over my debt
unit
service at a minimum.
per month.
If I had to put a dollar amount on it, but
That's good.
I'm more than 35%, but at least
Okay,
250 the cash flow.
gotcha. 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 Jerome, you want to take part in this? Okay, so you got again, I just want to refresh everyone. So we have some new people that came in. The question is, there's no such thing as an IRR. It has not been created yet. Equity multiple has not been created yet. There's no such thing. Average COC, average cash on cash has not been created yet. We don't know nothing about those three metrics. But what you do know, income, expense, debt service, cash flow. How much cash flow must you see in order for the deal to be viable? Again, you don't know nothing about IRR. You don't know nothing about equity multiple. You don't know nothing about average cash on cash. Those things have not even been invented yet. They're not even, you know, Albert Einstein don't even know about it yet. Okay. Okay. So what would you say, Jerome?
Minimum 100 per door
Okay.
per month.
Okay. Okay. Alicia,
Yes.
tell me your
So
thoughts.
So I was writing it down because I just knew you were gonna call me like first or second. So I said, well, let me write these things down so I don't forget. Um, I like the fact that Richard was talking about 250, 300 a door.
Right.
Because I just gave it a number based upon like 100 units. That's around 300,000 a year.
Right.
And then I started thinking about, well, if it's 300,000 a year, it really depends on what we purchased this property for, right? Because
Right.
that's kind of going to dictate our numbers and tell us how we can survive. But then we also
Right.
have to do that DSCR 1.25 or better, or depending upon whatever your lender requires, right? Because it
Right.
could be more than that. Um, I, I, for me, it would depend on if I have reserve dollars already saved up. It would depend on how much common area expenses are. It also would depend on if I had dollars already saved up to repair the property. So
Right.
I'm thinking if, let's just say on the worst case scenario, I
Right.
can meet the DSCR.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say I have nothing else saved up. I
Right.
need to save, and it depends on how
Okay.
many units, the year of the
Okay.
property.
All
I
right.
would want to have at least a cash flow of 500,000 a year, right? And that's
Okay.
on maybe 100 units or better. If it was a smaller asset, I could do under that. I would say about 300 a unit.
Okay.
Um, I like the thousand a door, so if I could push that, I would do that. But I would need to save up enough for just in
Mm.
case something happens. But if I have all
Mm-hmm.
of that saved up,
Right.
then I could probably adjust that dollar amount. It would depend on the goal of that building. Is it a lifetime hold or is it a 5 to 7 year hold?
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
All right. Cedric, can you talk? Rhonda says 400 to 500 per door. Okay, hold on a minute, Rhonda. I'm writing that down. So Rhonda says 400 to 500 per door.
And do you
Now,
see
Rhonda,
Kenneth?
is that is that per month or per year?
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving around. It is, I would say per month. Yes, per
Okay,
month.
thank you. All right, thank you.
Do you see
All right,
Kenneth's message too?
Kenneth. Let me see, Kenneth.
Yeah.
I am in a remote area. I would want to take into consideration how close it is the cash flow to the break even.
Mhm.
But okay, all right, because it's 11:55. I gotta speed through. Jr. What would you say?
$50 on day one, and overall strategy would be somewhere around, at least bare minimum 100 to 150.
Okay. That, and is that that's per unit per month, correct?
If we're talking about cash flow, would
Yeah.
be day one $50, right? At least we're making money.
Right.
And overall life cycle within the first 2 to 3 years, somewhere around 150 to maybe $300.
All right.
Is
All right.
that is
My
that a
screen shifted.
JV owned uh
No,
owned
I don't care about
personally?
none of that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he didn't care about none of that.
I
So
don't care. You got your income, you got your expense, you got your debt service, and your cash flow is at the bottom.
Would
How
that
much of
not
a cash
change
flow?
with investors though, Daryl?
I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. I just want to know what would be a viable deal, right? And I think did I get everyone? Because my screen shifted, so I don't know if I got everyone. But so
but you're also limited on time. So
yeah, so everyone, the reason why
Did you
I
ask
asked that
Marcus?
did I ask did I ask Marcus?
No, you didn't. It's 150 to 300 per unit per month.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know if I got everyone because I had to flip my
Yeah,
tablet
no, you
my
got the
page over.
snitches here now, you got the snitches in your room. So
So 150 300 per unit per month.
yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So the reason why I asked that question is because during my time of underwriting and working with others, I've come to find out that I've ran across a lot of deals where people didn't know what they wanted their cash flow to be. And there have been instances where the cash flow was negative. There was no cash flow. So I wind up asking the individuals, what is your plan? Because you aware that you don't have any cash flow for 7 months? And they're like, what? No, yeah. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, look right there. You don't have no cash flow for 7 months. And I think a lot of times, even us as underwriters, I think we get so caught up in that IRR, in that equity multiple, in that average cash on cash, to where maybe sometimes we lose deals. The cash flow be good. You have the lowest we had was JR has said initial he goes in initial with $50, then it goes up. But besides that, the lowest we had was $100 per unit per month. That was the lowest, right? So as long back in um I don't want to say in the old days, I'm gonna say a long time ago, you know, when you talk a lot of the old schoolers, and I'm talking about people that's been doing this for like 40, 50 years, old schoolers, A lot of times they be like, yo, I don't care about no IR equity multiple. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that crap. What is the cash flow? What's the cash flow say? Are we making money? That's what they want to hear. And I remember one time, it's 11:59. I remember one time I was an an investor had reached out to me and he said, Dad, I want to work with you. Now this was a while this was a while ago. He said, I want to work with you. And I said, okay. And I said to him, what is your criteria? He said, what you mean? I said, well, what do you want to see in IRR, equity multiple, cash on average cash on cash, stuff like that. So I'll know what I need to bring to you and what I need not to bring to you. And he said, just bring me the deal. He said, I don't want to hear about, he said, I don't know nothing about all of that. He said, all I want to see is the deal. Let me see where the cash flow is. That was what he said to me. And I was like, and believe it or not, I think I lost a good investor because that was like a long time ago because I wasn't quite educated in underwriting. Like I'm gonna say I think I'm more I'm gonna say I'm educated in underwriting now compared to way back then. But I think I lost a really good investor because I never took him any deals because I felt like I was stuck and I needed to know what my IRR is and what my equity multiple is and all of that, right? And plus, I lost his number, so now, yeah, I couldn't go back anyway. But I just wanted to say to all of us, right? Let's look at that bottom line. I know we're going to look at the equity multiple. I know you're going to look at your IRR because it's already like cemented in your brain that you're going to do it. But take a look at that cash on cash. If that cash flow, if the cash flow, not cash on cash, I'm sorry. If the cash flow is saying $200 or $100 or greater per unit per month, ask yourself, should I submit an LOI on this deal? Although your IRR, equity multiple, and ACOC may not be right where you want it to be. It may be close, but it's not quite there. Would you turn that deal away? And with that, I'm going to say thank you all for coming. I feel like this was fantastic. Really, I feel like this was fantastic. And I
Hey,
want to
Derek,
thank you all for.
this is Richard. Come in real quick.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. This is something I do when I was looking at property. It's more about the vision of where the property is and where it's going to go. No cash flow is not an issue because that's the only thing you have in ground up development. It's no cash flow until you build it.
Right.
So the question becomes,
Mm-hmm.
where are you going on? What do you see as the end product? And are you think you can get there comfortably for the risk you have to take? And if the answer
Right.
is yes, then it's more of a deal to do.
Gotcha. Now you said ground up development. You
Yes.
into ground up development?
Yeah, man.
You underwrite ground up development too?
Yeah, working on one right now.
Can you call me after this call?
Sure.
Yeah. So let me end this call, and soon as I end this call, give me a call. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, call me immediately after I end this call because I need to talk to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right. Have you ever thought about being like a mentor or a teacher or a coach?
Never thought about it. Not really.
Okay. Not really?
Mhm.
Okay.
Not
All
really.
right then.
Not that I'm opposed to it, just never really thought about it.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you about it. I'll talk to you about it. Okay. Cool. All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out today. I'll see everyone back here in 2 weeks to the Commercial Multifamily Mastermind Underwriting Show. It's going to be October 1st. We will have a guest speaker. It's going to be J.R. Biles. J.R., am I pronouncing your last name correct?
Elvis.
Oh, Bilbase. Okay, Bilbase. Okay. So JR, send me your please send me your bio, send me your headshot so that so we can I can start promoting it, and let's get you let's get you on get you out there. Okay. All right, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. And y'all have a blessed day. See ya.
All right, thanks. Talk to you later,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, stay cool, Alicia.
You too, Daryl.